Welcome everybody to today's session. My name is Tim Deverson, General Manager here at Zedmed. Today we are doing a thorough update for all of our Zedmed users on Medicare Web Services and the pending changes that are coming with Medicare Web Services. And I'd like to thank everybody for jumping on today. We do have a very large number of people, so I would ask that for everybody that's attending to please mute. And if you do have questions, we'll put your questions into the chat function for review post the session. With the large number of attendees, we'll refrain from using or answering a lot of your questions in the session. We'll do those posts. So again, thank you again for your attendance. Please self-mute, and we will send out communications with all of the answers from your questions after the session. So we will send out communications with all of the answers from your questions after the session. So all right, so for the agenda items today, we're going to provide a bit of an overview of the Medicare Web Services changes. Further to that, we'll provide a specific update on the Zedmed development that is happening in relation to Medicare Web Services. We've outlined and want to talk to your transition considerations for this update, and then we'll have some Q&A responses based on questions that we've already received here at the head office, but also questions that were raised from last week's session. Important to note, last week's session, the information that was shared in last week's session is exactly the same as today. And then at the conclusion of today, we will circulate the presentation slides and our FAQs and all of the responses to your questions, so that you can keep up to date, both with feedback from today, but also for important steps moving forward as we look ahead to these changes. Okay, so Medicare Web Services changes that are coming up. So Services Australia have been and are moving towards changing the way that Zedmed communicates with Medicare for claiming. So currently, all Zedmed users have been using a Medicare adapter technology, and that's been replaced by a web services model. And that's a significant improvement on security and performance for you as a user. And what it will provide is it basically allows Medicare in particular to be far more secure with the way that you guys submit claims. Now, the mandated end date for the adapter, or the date that Medicare is going to switch it off, is the 13th of March 2022. So it's important to note that every client who wants to utilise claiming, be it DVA, Eclipse, Tyro and bulk billing, you must be on a compatible version of Zedmed before that end date of 13 March 2022. Now, a couple of questions that have come in over the last couple of weeks from clients have been saying, I'm on version 33.6, so I'm compatible for Medicare Web Services. That's not the case. Right now, anyone who's using a current version of service of Zedmed is not compatible for web services. So importantly, you will need to upgrade to the compatible version of Zedmed before the 13th of March. Now, we are on track to deliver that version and transition all of the clients, all of the Zedmed clients, by the end of this calendar year. So importantly, through our marketing channels and through our support channel, we will notify every client when the version that's compatible for Medicare Web Services is available. And you must do that upgrade. Older versions of Zedmed will not be compatible for web services, and therefore you will not be able to claim. So in terms of our development, we've partnered with a translation service which is going to minimise the impact, but also make a very steady and smooth transition for all clients to utilise web services. On top of that, we've built out a concise transition plan, which we're going to talk about in the next slide, about how you as a Zedmed user can comfortably and steadily get ready, prepare for the upgrade, and then transition across to web services. So importantly, with that change, the current way that you are reconciling Medicare claims is going to be removed. So the way that we have been reconciling claims currently will not be the way that it will happen when you move to web services. So that's why these sessions and the follow-on from this is really important, that we get people reconciled for their existing Medicare claims before they move to web services. More to come on that later in the presentation. I'm here to really strongly recommend all of our Zedmed support staff have been upskilled and will continue to upskill themselves to support you as a client for your transition to web services. And there are no additional fees with moving to this particular web services technology. So standard subscriptions will remain, but importantly, to be able to utilise claiming, you will need to move to a compatible version of Zedmed. Okay, so in terms of the transition, where Zedmed has really aimed to define this process is to make sure that this is really smooth and makes it as easy as possible for clients to clear off their backlog of claims and then move to the web services platform. So the 5 steps as it's defined here, so we've articulated that you need to schedule your Zedmed upgrade, and that being through your third-party IT, or you're most welcome to utilise our internal support team at Zedmed. Now, importantly, that upgrade is scheduled to come out around the end of November, but we will notify you through our marketing channels when that becomes available. Point 2 and 3 are the really important steps to take. So we recommend that all of your outstanding Medicare claims, and that being DVA, Eclipse, bulk billing, and Tyro, get reconciled before you upgrade. Now, as part of that, just prior to the upgrade itself, we do recommend that you hold off additional claiming until you've transitioned to the compatible version of Zedmed. So once you've done that upgrade, the minimal amount of backlog claims you've got remaining, you can then process. So as part of this transition consideration, our training team, and headed up by Fane, we're going to conduct fortnightly Medicare reconciliation webinar sessions where you and your users can jump into a meeting like this, and we're going to work through how to reconcile the backlog of your claims. Now, the first one of those sessions is scheduled to be on the 28th of October. So that's 2 Thursdays from now. And we're aiming to do fortnightly webinars on these topics between now and Christmas. So I will send out all of the information and the links for these particular sessions when we send out the FAQs at the end of this presentation. But it's important to know, and we're happy to offer as many sessions and or individual sessions as you need. Point 2 and 3 are the critical pre-transition steps you must take before you end up on the web services version of Zedmed. Okay, a couple of key points to raise. and we know that a lot of clients have been receiving emails and letters from Medicare regarding this upcoming change to web services. And one of the questions was, do I need a Proda account? So quintessentially, a lot of our existing Zedmed users will already have a Proda account, and if you have one, fantastic. You do not need to do anything more with that Proda account for your transition to web services. If you do not have an existing Proda account, it is not required that you go and get one specifically for this web services transition. Zedmed is going to manage the Proda components for you on your behalf. But importantly, if you have a Proda account now, you do not need to do anything different with it, but please keep it. It is an important reference point for you, and it gives you access to PKI certificates, which I'll address in point 2. So in a recent email that a lot of clients had received from Medicare specifically, it said to register for a Proda account for web services transition. This is not an essential component for you to utilize web services with Zedmed. Question 2 is what happens with PKI certificates. So PKI certificates are currently being used by all sites to provide a connection between the site and Medicare to be able to claim. And for a large percentage of the services moving to the Medicare web services platform, you will not require PKI certificates. However, there are 3 services that will still require site-based PKI certificates ongoing. The expiry date that you may have seen in a recent mail out from Medicare was around 2024, expiry for PKI certificates. If you have received one of those letters and or a CD specifically, please go ahead and install that CD or site-based certificate, because this still needs to be supported past that 13th of March 2022 end date. So important to go over that again. PKI certificates will still remain in place post that 13 March 2022 deadline. If you have received a CD or a link for a certain certificate at the moment, please go ahead and install that, or alternatively call our support desk and we will install that for you. From the Proda account point of view, if you do not have a Proda account, please do not feel that you need to go out and get one. If you have an existing Proda account, you are fine. You can keep that working and there will be no issue for your transition to web services. So, key takeaways from today is that Zedmed is well on track for the web services upgrade by the end of the year. Importantly, and I'm reiterating the same statement, when the version that has web services is available, we will notify you through our marketing channels, and that is the version that you must upgrade to for compatibility with web services. So we've outlined and we'll circulate that 5-step transition plan. Importantly, in that transition plan, step 2 and 3 talks about reconciliation of claims and reconciling everything prior to upgrading to web services. From the 28th of October, Zedmed will be running fortnightly lunch and learns around Medicare reconciliation. If you're unable to attend those sessions, please feel free to give support a call and you can arrange a time separately with our training team to work through your individual setup on claiming. That is not a problem. So I really want to stress the notion that please sit tight and we will notify you when the Zedmed version is available. It's not currently finished and that's why we haven't got it ready yet. We are down to the final development stages for that to be released, and once that is released, we will notify you again through our marketing channels. If you've got further specific questions, and I can see there's been a few questions on the chat today, which is great, please circulate them through our support desk, or alternatively through your state-based account manager if you have further questions. At the end of this presentation, when we mail out the pack that has these questions and the presentation, you'll also have my email address. You can feel free to email me further queries around web services. And I want to stress that we've got our development well and truly under control to have this completed and have you transitioned by the end of the year. It's important to note that 13th of March 2022 deadline is when the adapter will be turned off. And if you haven't upgraded by then, it is going to be, you simply won't be able to use or provide any claims. So without further ado, I will finish the session for today. Thank you all for your attendance, and we'll be in touch shortly.